All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful and, honestly, one of the sneakiest forms of persuasion out there, the appeal to emotion. We're going to break down how our own feelings can be used to convince us of things, sometimes, well, sometimes completely against our better judgment. So let me ask you this. You've been there, right? You see some ad or you hear a politician speak, and you find yourself just nodding along, totally sold on the idea. But later, when a friend asks you to explain why you agree, the actual facts are kind of fuzzy. That feeling, that's what we're talking about today. And there it is. There's an official name for this, the appeal to emotion. And it's a classic logical fallacy. Basically, it's a persuasive shortcut. It just bypasses the logical, rational part of your brain and makes a beeline straight for your heart. The whole point is to make you feel something so strongly that you agree without thinking too hard about the details. So how does this actually work in the real world? Well, it often boils down to a pretty simple idea. Feeling is believing. If someone can make you feel that something is true, they're more than halfway to making you believe it's true. And you see these appeals literally everywhere. I mean, political campaigns, commercials, charity drives, courtroom arguments, and oh my gosh, all over your social media feed. These are the main battlegrounds where our emotions are constantly being targeted. To really get a handle on this, you kind of have to know the specific tactics. So let's open up what we could call the emotional manipulation playbook and look at the most common plays they run to get us on their side. First up, we've got the heavyweight champion, the most powerful tool in the entire playbook, the fear play. Fear is it's primal. It's such a powerful motivator that when it kicks in, our rational brain can just take a backseat. You see this constantly. Political ads warning you that if the other candidate wins, it's going to be total chaos. Home security commercials showing you the absolute worst-case scenario to get you to buy a system. Even public health warnings use a little bit of fear to get us to act. The message is always the same. There's danger out there, and this product or this person is your only way to be safe. And think about this. That ad isn't really trying to sell you on the high-tech specs of their alarm system. Nope, it's selling you relief. Relief from the very fear that it just created. It's a two-step process. First, they make you anxious, then they offer you the cure. Okay, next up in the playbook is a tactic that hits a totally different set of emotions, but it is just as powerful. This one pulls on our heartstrings using our sense of compassion and sympathy. This is the pity play. This is the one designed to make your heart ache. We see it all the time in fundraising campaigns for humanitarian causes, or in a courtroom when a defense lawyer highlights a client's incredibly difficult life. The goal is to make you feel so much sympathy that it moves you to donate, or maybe to be more lenient. And boy, this tactic is effective. You see those images, you hear that sad music, and it just creates this immediate gut-wrenching feeling, this need to help. And that emotional pull, it's often way more powerful than a spreadsheet showing exactly how your donation would be spent. All right, our third play is a bit more subtle, but it's just as effective. It doesn't go after fear or sympathy. Instead, it targets something much closer to home, our ego and our sense of identity. Welcome to the pride play. This one is all about making you feel like you're part of something special, something bigger than yourself. Politicians talk about national pride to get support. Luxury brands sell you a feeling of success and status. Military recruitment ads tap into a sense of duty and patriotism. They're all connecting their message directly to your identity. Yeah, this is a classic move. By wrapping a policy in the flag, the argument suddenly changes. It becomes, if you're a proud citizen, then of course you'll support this. It pushes us to agree based on our identity, not necessarily on the logical pros and cons of the policy itself. So we've seen the playbook, we know the tactics. Now for the really crucial part, how do we defend against it? Well, it all comes down to understanding that fundamental difference between an appeal to your logic and an appeal to your emotion. Let's use an environmental campaign as a perfect example. The emotional plea might show you these heart-wrenching images of animals in a burning forest. It's meant to create urgency and even anger. The logical case, on the other hand, would show you deforestation statistics, cold, hard data on the impact. Now, both might lead you to the same conclusion, but one is targeting your heart, and the other is targeting your head. Knowing the difference is a great first step, but being able to apply that knowledge in the moment, that's the real skill. So let's wrap this all up by giving you a simple, practical toolkit you can use every single day. Here it is, your 3-step defense. First, just pause and identify the emotion. Ask yourself, what am I supposed to be feeling right now? Scared? Proud? Guilty? Just naming it is half the battle. Second, mentally separate that feeling from the facts. Strip away all the emotional language and see what's actually left. Is there any real evidence there? And finally, step 3, evaluate the argument on its own merits. Does this point still make sense without the sad music or the waving flags? And let's be really clear here. The point of this is not to become some kind of robot. Emotions are a vital, amazing part of being human. The goal is simply awareness. It's about knowing when an argument is using emotion to hide the fact that there's no real logic there to begin with. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have this toolkit, what are you going to do? The next time an ad or a speech or some social media post gives you that powerful emotional tug, will you be able to hit pause and run it through that 3-step defense? Because that awareness, that's the first and most important step.